So let's take a look at the properties of equality. We'll look at the addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication properties of equality. The properties of equality simply allow you to balance and solve equations that are involving any number. So if you perform the same operation on both sides of the equation, then equality is maintained, and that's really defining what the property of equality is. So let's look at an addition example. We have 120 plus h is equal to 315. So what we want to do is, just like when we've solved one-step equations, we want to isolate the variable. So we are going to end up subtracting 120 from both sides. When we do that, 120s cancel out. We're left with h all by itself. 315 minus 120 is 195. So this would be an example of the subtraction property of equality, because we had to use the inverse operation of addition, which was subtraction, in order to balance the equation. So let's look at another example now. If we take k minus 120 is equal to 315. Now we are simply adding 120 to both sides. Again, the inverse operation of subtraction is addition. 120s would cancel out. K would be equal to 435. So this would be an example of the addition property of equality, because you are taking the inverse operation of subtraction. If we move over to multiplication and division, if I take c divided by 5 is equal to 12, again, the inverse operation of division would be multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. C would be equal to 60. This would be an example of the multiplication property of equality, because in order to balance the equation, I took the inverse operation of division. And finally, 169 is equal to 13 times w. The inverse operation of multiplication is division. So if I divide both sides by 13, w is going to be equal to 13. This would be an example of the division property of equality, because I am using division in order to balance out the equation. And that is just a quick little mini lesson on the properties of equality. Again, they allow you to balance and solve equations involving any number.